Tonight's meeting at Martin Park will discuss all aspects of the tribunal hearing.
Wodonga Rover's Simon Bone was found guilty of striking North Albury player Tim Taylor, while full forward David Turner was found guilty of striking North Albury's Bert Holland. A third charge was dropped when another Wodonga player, Bevan Cox, was found not guilty of striking North Albury's Tim Taylor. Wodonga Football Club football director John Henderson says tonight's meeting was called to explore all aspects of the tribunal hearing.
We feel there's some aspects we're not altogether happy with the tribunal, and it's been under question, the running of it, this Melbourne umpire business where we can't cross-examine a bit of paper, and we feel it represents a kangaroo court a little bit, Rowan, and it's not sour grapes to anybody concerned. We think that as a club we owe it to everybody to see if we can improve the workings of the tribunal.
Mr Henderson says the meeting will also look at what action may possibly be taken by the club.
We certainly will stand behind our boys, and we feel that...
A 38-point win over Wangaratta. The full-time score was Yarrawonga 18-10, 118, Wangaratta 12-8, 80. Yarrawonga will now meet North Albury in the first semi-final to be held at Martin Park in Wodonga next Sunday.
It was a hard, tough first half. Yarrawonga, through Stevenson, Parrish and Jones, kept attacking at defence by Mills, Nugent and Nolan, and kept the Pigeons to an 8-point lead after having the wind in the first quarter. Yarrawonga showed a more determined attitude in the second quarter as the wind decreased and they increased their lead to 17 points at the halfway mark. The game was even, but Yarrawonga looked to be better equipped in play on teamwork to take the game out. Both sides had many players who were inconsistent as they kept coming into and out of the game. The third quarter was all Pigeons as they extended their lead to 35 points as 3 more goals were scored, while John Brunner ran amok to continually bamboozle the Magpies' defence. John Gannon, captain-coach of the Magpies, tried hard to lift his side, but he had little assistance. Best players for Yarrawonga were Stevenson, Brunner and Clark, while Wangaratta was served well by Gannon, Voss and Mills.
Well, that's all the news we have for you today.
Count your blessings. Lemur, at the end of the day. Songs for everyone. Over 1 hour of heartrending songs from Harry Seacombe.
What a wonderful world.
The beautiful trees.
Things that I shall never see.
I vow to thee, my country. September song. Sometimes. And morning has broken. Harry Seacombe's Songs for Everyone, recorded this year for you to enjoy. New and only from J&B.
Imagine Barter's incredible new roller blinds in your home. The obedient roller blind with revolutionary chain action that stop exactly where you want and won't whiz out of reach. Choose from a fabulous range of decorator colours and prints to really brighten up your room.
North Albury this afternoon. Graham Burns reports on the match.
It was all Lavington in the opening quarter. Stanlake, Mack, Cullinane and Valenti were just too good in the air, and Stewart, Hamilton, Johnson and Wise were too good when the ball was at ground level. Ernie Whitehead was the Bulldogs' lone effective player. With the wind advantage, the Blues led 7-1 to 2 behinds, caught away. Dean Valenti took control of the Blues forward line in the second quarter as the Blues added 5 goals to 4-4 against the wind to have a 46-point lead halfway, and it was really a matter of how far. Greg Wood was the Victorians' only consistent performer in the first half. The rain came in the third quarter and the standard fell away. Wallace was grand in defence for the Bulldogs while Lavington just cruised into attack and appeared to be taking things easy. The last quarter was just playing out time as the Blues' first quarter blitz had given them the path to another grand final appearance. Best players, Lavington, Stanlake, Mack, Cassidy, Valenti and Wise and many others. Wodonga, their better players were Wood, Wallace and Whitehead. The final score, Lavington 17-12, 1-1-4, defeated Wodonga 10-12.
Tomorrow's match will be telecast at 10 to 5 tomorrow. A decision on the telecast of the preliminary final on Sunday the 20th will be made.
Exactly, but losing Wayne Ostis is a real blow to North Albury because now they're down to 2 actual ball-getter crummers, and that is going to be a real test of North Albury's strength this afternoon.
Merv, I think the whole game basically hinges on one player, in my opinion. I think that if Big Bear Allen fires, Wodonga are certainly.
Provided they play him in the right position.
They've got to play centre-half forward.
That's right.
That's right.
North struggle up forward, though. They haven't really got a genuine forward to kick goals. They rely on their little fellas around the ground, don't they?
Right, but let's break away from the game for a few seconds, because I want to show you something. Just have a look at this and guess which panellist this is, because we have a picture here. It goes back quite a few years now. Somebody on the panel is going to have a red face. Who is it? Can we have a look at that again, Rosler, if possible? Because there he is 20 years ago.
Isn't she beautiful?
Well, okay. The bridesmaid is going to pick who, Merv?
Gee, you come up well with a couple.
I'll tell you what, it'll be like the Sydney Swans. They'll be the bridesmaids this afternoon. We're not giving any hints as to who that was.
Kingy, who are you going for?
I'm going for North Albury certainties.
Right, well, Bruce Wade's been very quiet, and of course he comes from Wangaratta, where he covers 5 teams for us down there too.
That's
Bruce.
right. We do look after the southern end of the league.
The southern league, right. Now, what about your selection, Bruce?
Well, my selection, North Albury, I think winning form's good form. I think the weather won't make too much difference out there at Lavington. The ground looks pretty good to me. I was out there early this morning. And I think,
Sleep
all
out
right.
there?
No, I didn't really. I had a night home, as a matter of fact. Most unusual.
Yes.
And I think North Albury, they're just going to have too much talent, too much speed, and their runners will be just too strong for Wodonga.
Right, thanks very much, Ryan. So the selections there as we go. We've got 3 for Wodonga, 2 for North Albury, so it looks like being a big game out there. Right, but one thing too, you've heard a few...
We should ask everyone to go out. If you're sitting at home at the moment, the O&M needs your support, so pop
obviously.
out there.
Right.
Lance Cushion, you're gone, mate.
Hey, I'll tell you what, you got rid of the goal umpire at Wodonga. now it's
The gatekeeper at Corowa.
Yeah.
Right, well, we have a gentleman who wrote to us, or didn't write to us, but he wrote somewhere else. By the way, the address here is 444 Lavington. You can send anything to us here. But if you'd like to come in, Mr. Conrekas made a few statements during the week. Come in. The boys would love to have a chat to you live on camera, so we'd like to find out what you really mean, because we believe you watch television, not listen to it. And also, we also believe that, I don't know whether you mean we're biased for or against Wodonga. We'd like to find out. So what about popping in and having a chat, because, a cup of coffee and have a chat to these guys and let us know what it is. But just give me a ring, and then we'll invite you in.
We won't beat him to a pulp, anything.
Oh, no, we just want to know what it meant.
So you mightn't get out one.
Right, OK, thanks very much. There's your panel. The boys have started off early this afternoon. They're all heading out to the football. We'll take this break, and we'll be back after this break with some
points. In front of a record preliminary final crowd, the Hoppers proved too good for the Bulldogs in a close game. Graham Burns has this report on the big game.
It was top-pressure football as both sides opened with the attitude to kick a big score early. The relentless attacking of both teams had defenders under pressure. Connolly was on top for the Hoppers, and Brett Allen, Grimmett, Harris and Andrews were the reasons the Bulldogs led by 7 points scored away. The pressure continued in the second quarter as North Albury, with their runners in defence driving the ball into attack, opened up a 10-point lead, but the Bulldogs never gave in and came back to lead halfway by a point. In the third quarter, the Hoppers, with Connolly the master in defence, repelling most Bulldog attacking moves, and Jason Kerr, Tony McTavish and Roger Peters running loose, they added 4-5 to Wodonga's 2 behinds to lead by 26 points with time on approaching. North appeared to be fitter than the tiring Bulldogs. Then Bear Allen exploded on the scene with 3 goals to the big fellow in time on, left the Bulldogs only 8 points down at three-quarter time. The last quarter was again a great finale to a top game. The Hoppers opened up a 14-point lead, then the Bulldogs came back to close the gap to 2 points. Finally, Peter Westland, unsided for most of the day, kicked 4 goals in 6 minutes to allow the Hoppers to progress to the grand final. The final scores: North Albury 18-15, Wodonga 16-13. Cora Rutherglen won the reserves, Wang Rovers winning the thirds.
The main stories once again: more than 6,000 people lined Dean Street for the start of Carnival.
I just think we'll go through and maybe try and pick a winner for you. And looking at the sides in alphabetical order, Albury, well, Peter Brower has been the star there, Jay McNeil and also Jeff Duck, they could poll. Benalla, we have Martinello and Primmer. Martinello has missed a few games, but Primmer has played all the year and he'll be most certainly in the voting. Cora Rutherglen, Dennis Sandwell appears the only one to me who could poll votes. At Myrtleford, Laurie Parolin and Peter Densley early in the season also polling well. At North Albury, we have Bill Mulroney, McTavish and Connolly. Jason Kerr, he'll pick up a few votes, so they're going to spread them round there. At Lavington, Richard Hamilton, he'll pick up votes late in the season. Jeff Cassidy's been consistent and he could be in there too. At Wang Rovers, Booth, Burton, Pollard, the 3 stalwarts, they'll be the ones who should poll best there. At Wangaratta, Johnny Gannon's had a great year. Steve Adamo's won the goal kicking, and Pat Fitzgerald's been a star since he's been here but only played a few games. And at Wodonga, of course, Jeff Gushin and Bear Allen would have picked up some votes early. But then we get to Yarrawonga, and there's the red-hot favourite, probably the hottest favourite in the Morris Medal history, is Les Parrish, and it'll be interesting to see just how it does happen. He's won all the other awards, but then you think about Steve-O, Long, Russell Ledney and Brunner, they'll take votes from Parish, so it looks like for last night's medal count. Parish was the clear favourite for the medal and polled in 10 games during the season, recording 4 3 votes, 4 2 votes and 2 1 votes. Myrtleford's Lou Sermonara was runner-up with 16 votes, while John Martinello from Benalla finished third with 15. The Reserves Award was won by Corora Rutherglen's Rod Lavis, while Yarrawonga's Tom Runnels completed a double for the club by taking out the thirds. Excitement reached fever pitch when the voting counting revealed Parish had taken out the medal. Parish returned to Yarrawonga this season after playing 97 games with Melbourne and Fitzroy. After being presented with the 49th Morris medal by Mr Mick Morris, Parish said he was amazed at winning the Morris medal.
I was close all the way, and I was happy to get that 3 vote in the last 15, so you know, I'm very pleased to win it for Yarrawonga.
Les, let's get back to why you came back.
Well, I played football with Fitzroy for 5 years, and I loved the club, and I still do love the club deep down. I was bitter at the way I was disposed from Fitzroy, but I went to Melbourne, played 7 games. I just didn't think I had my heart in it at Melbourne, and I thought, you know, it'd probably be better off if I got out of league football, and Yarrawonga had asked me to come back, and I hummed and hard for a while.
Meanwhile, 2 VCFL medallions were also presented last night. The medallions are in recognition of long and outstanding service to football in country Victoria and were presented to Benalla Football Club treasurer Kevin Brennan and Ovens and Murray League administrator Did Simpson. Both have given more than 30 years service to the game, with Kevin Brennan heavily involved with the Benalla Football Club, while Did Simpson has had a long association with the Albury Football Club and the Ovens and Murray.
Premiership flag. Who will it be? The Blues or the Hoppers? With his thoughts on the grand final, Prime Network football commentator Graham Burns.
Well, here we are at the scene of the action for Sunday's big grand final in the Ovens and Murray between North Albury and Lavington. The ground, it's in superb condition, a little bit of top water, but then it's a windy day today, and if it's windy tomorrow and the sun comes out a little bit, there's a little bit of sun coming out in times at the moment, it'll be a great day and it'll be a great ground. So we're hoping for 3 top grand finals on Sunday. Let's have a look at the 2 sides. North Albury, well, there's a little bit of a cloud over Johnston and Osterus. We don't know what's happening. They haven't picked their sides as present. Roger Peters will be a big plus. Bill Mulroney's got pace on the wing. Connolly in the back pocket hasn't done a thing wrong, and they've got one of the top coaches in the league, Martin Cross, and they'll be very, very hard to beat. Lavington, Jeff Cassidy, bridesmaid last year. Can he be the bride this year in winning the grand final? 3 points down last year, and it will be about that close this year too. They've got Danny Murphy back and Pat Murphy on the back line. They'll be a pretty strong side. Richard Hamilton and young Johnson's a boring player. They're a strong side, and well, I really don't know who to pick. Weighing it all up, I think that if it stays fine, North Albury probably just. If it gets wet again and rains as predicted on Saturday night, Lavington could win. But the other 2 games, I think Wodonga, they'll get something out of the year anyhow by winning the 2nds and 3rds. So my selections, North Albury in the 1st, Wodonga in the 2nds, and also Wodonga in the 3rds.
He said he'd be here.
Maybe he saw the condemned sign in front of the building.
Maybe I got the wrong address. Let's get the hell out of here before the iron ball hits this building.